I'm Michael Miller. Our guest today is the mayor of Cutler Bay, Tim Meerbott. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you having me again.
When we were kids, we used to go to Cutler Ridge all the time, and there was a certain reputation that it had. It started with the ridge rats, right? And you remember those years.
I've lived there my entire life. So yeah, I was, I guess, one of the ridge rats.
And certainly over the last 10 years, it's really gotten so much better. And the posture of the community and of the people that are living there is much, the people are so proud of being there. And we see some of the developments that are going on and see new schools going in. And tell us what it was like, number one, when you decided to run for mayor, what was that like?
Well, first of all, when I was growing up there, it was a very small community. I would say it was probably 10% of what the population is right now or less. So and back then, remember, we had local neighborhood schools. You didn't have magnet schools, so everybody went to school together. Everybody knew each other. The parents knew who you were as well. So you really had to watch your P's and Q's because you didn't have social media, but you didn't need it because you weren't going to get away with anything. Mrs. Johnson would be calling your mom and telling, by the way, your son was doing this, which happened a couple of times. So there was a collective responsibility. I wasn't their child, but they wanted to make sure that my mom and dad knew.
I think the story goes, it takes a village.
Again, it was my mom and dad's responsibility to raise me, and they did. But they knew what was going on with me and all my friends as well. So, but that sense of community has continued. It's never gone away. It's we had the moniker Ridge Rats, as you mentioned, but we took that as a badge of honor because basically we were a military community or a blue collar community. We didn't have all the I guess the privileges some of the other communities that we had to really struggle to get by. But we were proud of that because when you made it on your own, and I think that again that sense of pride of who we are is never going to go away. At least I hope it doesn't ever go away. But that sense of community is something that's lingered on and on. You don't find that sense of community as anywhere else in South Florida as you do in Cutler Bay.
So one of the things we know that area is so close to the water there that people have this infinity and there's this connection that people have bigger than themselves, right? Black Point,
right.
Go over there and you're sitting there and you have the boats are there, you see them in the water, people having a good time, and there's that connection that you have. Even if you're not a boater, you realize when you're underneath that tiki hut, if you will, that there's a strong connection that people have, whether they're from Cutler Bay or from the neighborhood. They're going there for a very specific reason. They didn't happen to be driving down the street and see a shopping center and walk in there.
No, and that's one of the treasures of Black Point is we all know we're connected to water. And so anytime we can be there and enjoy a good meal and a great environment, so why not go there? Where else would you rather be?
One of the things that I think it's on 87th Avenue, East Ridge, years ago it was a very small place. Now it is a magnificent place to where people that are a little bit older can go there. I was there not too long ago, and there were like 3 vehicles and the rest were golf carts.
Yes.
It's just incredible. And they're wide open spaces, and they have all sorts of level living that is added to the ambiance of the neighborhood. It fits in very nicely and on the way to either in or out of Cutler Bay. So let's get on, when you decided you were going to run for mayor, why did you do that?
Again, it was my hometown, and I was, I wasn't concerned that somebody else wouldn't be able to do it right, but I knew that I'd be able to do it right. I knew that I'd be able to preserve that sense of community, which is the most important thing in Cutler Bay. We all wanted to try to control growth, though that's really not as easy as it sounds, because quite honestly, if you don't own the land, you don't get to decide what to do with it. You can guide it, but you can't make that decision final. And so I just wanted to be involved and make sure that the sense of community that I grew up with, the values that I grew up with, were portrayed in the community and continued on in the community.
So what are some things you've done working with the homeowners and the residents and the stakeholders there that you're particularly proud
of? It sounds silly, but quite honestly, the golf carts. Back when I was a councilman, I proposed an ordinance which would make it legal for golf carts to be used in the community. And it started off slow, but if you drive around Cutler Bay right now, especially in the evening hours, there's probably it's a golf cart to car ratio of 1 to 4. I mean, all the families are going around in golf carts now. They're going to baseball practice in golf carts, to the games in golf carts, to the restaurants.
And there's something special about that when you do that. You're out of the traditional vehicle and say, our town is special. Let's go in the golf cart, right? And that adds something to that.
And again, it's a sense of community. When you're in your car, your windows are rolled up, the AC's on, and the music's on. You don't see anything around you, just your destination. When you're in a golf cart, you see people around you. You interact. You wave hi. People wave hi. It's especially when you're passing other golf carts in the street. You have navigation. How are you?
So on Old Cutler Road a few years ago, there was a pretty big piece of property, 16 or 20 acres or so, that the city said, maybe we could get that. Tell us how that process worked.
Well, that property has always been in the geographic heart of the town. And as far back as I can remember when I was a councilman, I thought, it'd be great to have a central park type of place in the middle of town. And though it's been on the minds of my council and many councils before, getting that done wasn't always easy. You have to have a willing buyer. You have to have you have to have a willing seller and an able buyer, and the able buyer being the town. And so when a developer came in and wanted to put 454 more units there, we had to make a decision. Like I said, God's not making any more green space. What is there? What is there? So we had to make a decision to approve that, because again, we can't say no unless we own it. So we decided to go forward with a bond referendum for the people and let them make the decision. And about 67% of our population said, yes, we need to buy it. We need to preserve it as a park space. And we've been moving forward with it ever since. So
that's huge, 67%, right? That's like monstrous.
Right. And again, that was the second time that was voted on. It was voted on previously and lost. Previously, they really didn't have a plan, just like they had a general idea. Yeah. We had a plan this time. So we knew what we wanted to do.
Tell us what the plan is.
So the plan is to build a 16-acre municipal complex with our new town hall will be there, police station, a community center. And then the rest of it, is where we've got a lot of public involvement, including an amphitheater, wide open spaces. The rest of it came together through over 23 meetings with the public, and including emails and other things coming in, letting us know what the public wanted. So that's what stage we're in right now. So
a lot of citizen involvement helped that move along. Obviously, a lot of support. There's something that occurred between the first vote and the second, where I guess there was more openness, more trust that it was going to happen.
People are wary of voting for something where they're not sure. Nobody wants to trust me. I'm the government, right? Nobody really likes to. Oh, wait a minute. Trust is not a good. As they say, trust but verify. So this time we had a very solid plan. All right, we have 16 acres. We own it now, and we want to go ahead and go forward with this municipal complex. And we started the process again of. First, we brought in the University of Miami School of Architecture to help have their students give us a concept. Then we had, like I said, over 23 meetings with the public to kind of fine-tune what they wanted. And once we were able to lock it down, we were able to go out and look for a professional firm, and we got a world-class firm. We asked for a bunch of firms to kind of give us some concepts. We had a committee that narrowed it down to the top three, and then out of the top three, the council made a selection of what firm that we think would do the best job of it. And now we're signing a contract with them, and it's in the preliminary design stages where you get the actual, architectural designs down, and then we'll start the permitting process and move forward.
So I know sometimes these things seem to take forever, which they do. It's just the way that it works. From the original idea, hey, what about this? Yeah. From there to when the shovel goes in, how long will that be? Would that be? Probably
about 4 years, 3 to 4 years. But I will say this: we had at our latest public involvement meeting, we had the firm that's designing it, Saltzcasman is designing it, and they made the comment while they're up there. I said, we've never dealt with a project or a government that's gone easier than this, because of the work, the preliminary work that you guys did ahead of time. Our job is so easy. We're not trying to figure out what we want, what you guys want. We know what you want. We just have to give it to you. And that's because of all the meetings that took place. Right, it's because of all the meetings. At the beginning of that process, were people there yelling and screaming or saying, "Hey, I want this or that"?
What makes your citizens there so comfortable?
Again, we weren't asking them to make any decisions, so we're just asking for everybody's opinion. And if everybody has a say-so, then they feel comfortable that they're not being excluded from the process. So we've included as many people in the process we have. Now, granted, not every single idea is going to go in. Some people don't like some of the things that are going in there. But collectively, with the voice of everyone involved and looking at what we have available, what we can do, where the funds are coming from, I think taking all those things into consideration, we're getting the best project possible. And there's no arguing about it because I think everybody's super excited to have. I mean, look, you could either have 454 houses or you can have, I keep calling it a Central Park. Others call it a legacy park, but it's going to be a jewel right in the middle of the town where, again, I've said this before, where Norman Rockwell would say this is a great place to be.
And there are going to be walkways where people can go and walk and jog.
Walkways, splash pad, maybe.
Are there going to be any sports activities?
There's not going to be organized sports there. It's just a wide open space, with the exception of there's one of the constables has a pool going in there, so they may have some competitions, like they do now, high school sports. We're not, there's no plan to build an Olympic national competition pool there. So, but there's no soccer fields there. The rest, we have other parks that's designated for. This is just a passive park where people enjoy life. Mom and the stroller and the kids kick the ball around, play frisbee.
That's wonderful.
Just enjoy the day.
So, Mayor, we know that pickleball is the hottest thing around. So tell us about what the town of Cutler Bay is doing to help that move along.
Well, we've already built, 4 pickleball courts over the Saga Bay. The tennis courts are, repurposed, some of them for pickleball. And, we know that it's a growing sport. We don't have immediate plans right now to build another pickleball court. But we'll look at that when we can as we're going forward.
So lots of people say, oh, it's brand new. It started a couple years ago. No, it's 40 years old, a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's like, you're so successful.
Yeah.
You did, you're an actor now. Yeah, plus 30 years. So there's a big project, a big development, a town center of sorts.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Well, again, so Southland Mall is been purchased, and there's a firm that's coming in which is going to go ahead and completely rebuild it. They're not going to tear all the mall down, but they're going to spend over $1.5 billion.
That's with a B.
With a B, with $1 billion. Sorry, a little Austin Powers reference. $1.5 billion refurbishing that entire area. So if you imagine what it is now, where it was quite honestly probably an underperforming mall. Some of the stores were successful there, but others were not. A lot of wide open parking space. Blacktop, which is doing no good except generating heat. Imagine that going to be transformed into something along the lines of, Drow Place or one of those type of places where you have mixed-use shopping, residents on top of them, some water features, the restaurants, the bars.
It's going to be an entertainment center. People are going to be able to do that and go and spend an afternoon.
Not only just an entertainment center, but remember, this also includes office space, 60,000 square feet of medical office buildings. So your doctor's visits, you won't have to go to Kendall for your colonoscopy anymore. Maybe you can go right there to Cutler Bay. If you're a nurse, maybe you don't have to work in Kendall anymore. Maybe you can work right here in Cutler Bay. If you're a doctor, you want to open up a practice right here. If you're a law firm, you can go ahead and have your offices right here close to where most of the workers live in the Cutler Bay area. Everything from doctors to plumbers to janitors, everything.
Is there a major healthcare company that's going to be moving in there, or are these going to be separate offices?
We don't know yet because it's not built yet. I haven't seen any final architectural plans again. So we don't, and again, it's private property, not public property. So once they start to build it, that's when they start to negotiate with, I'm sure there's organizations like Baptist or Kendall Regional that others will want to move in there. They've already looked, they're aware of it, and we know that they've looked into that. So I'm sure there'll be interest.
So in this first phase, I understand they're going to be building 400 plus apartments as part of the phase 1.
Right.
And so you're going to have, let's just call it 800 people are going to be there. They're going to be living there. They're going to be shopping, doing some of their shopping downstairs.
Right. And
they're going to be inviting friends over, and to be able to experience that. This when it's done will be certainly the biggest South Miami.
Oh, it's going to be, this is not only just the biggest thing in South Miami, this is the biggest project in the Southeast United States.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so it's a significant change. Again, do we want to live in a world where 90% of the jobs are outside of your community, where everybody has to spend an hour and a half in their cars every day? Or do you want to live in a world where the jobs are closer to you?
Yes.
There's that balance of, oh no, more people coming. They're coming all around us. But you know, you want to make sure that you're building in a way where not just the people are coming, not just the apartments, but you want the jobs, the office space, the medical office space, all those things there as well.
You know, the county continues to tell us we can't do much about the traffic, and we can't keep building bigger roads, but what we can do is figure out how to move people around in the county.
Or make it so they don't have to move around.
Right. Yes. And so, and that's live, work, and stay in that area.
Right.
You know, directly west of US 1 is the bus rail transit corridor.
That's Robert Transit. Right.
All right, that goes from, I don't know, from
Florida City all the way up to Dadeland.
All right, so 25 miles plus. Tell us about the progress in Cutler Bay on that.
Well, there's 3 stations in Cutler Bay, and you can see that they're one of them has a significant progress. You can almost see what the finished project's going to be like. So they'll have a lot of those stations up and running by, well, maybe not up and running. They had to push their timeline back a little bit. By the end of next year, that entire thing should be up and running.
In a year and a quarter, it's going to be gone.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Again, you know, that I'm not the best person to ask that. The county has more information on that than I do.
So one of the things that we recognize is a lot of people don't, especially down south, haven't used public transportation. And so here's going to be this permanent thing. You're going to see it. It should be interesting to see how we say to ourselves, that's an acceptable form of transportation. And they can get on it and go 20 miles without having to deal with traffic. And when I take an Uber, I'll tell you what, I arrive fresh. And you don't realize how much stress it is until you don't have to drive and you pay attention to stuff. So I think when those buses get going, it's going to improve people's lives a lot, and including some people that live outside the area. They're going to be able to take a bus, brand new buses, and work at the mall.
Right.
There. It's really going to be tremendous. What's going to happen to help move the people from one side of the highway to the next?
Well, interesting you say that. So the only way you get across there safely, obviously, would be a pedestrian bridge. And that's one of the things that we've been talking to the county about. Matter of fact, I have a meeting tomorrow with one of our county representatives to kind of make sure that they're aware of what the needs are going to be. We're going to talk to all the county commissioners eventually, including the mayor, and let them know that how important it is for people to be able to traverse US 1 safely to use this BRT. If you're going to spend $300 million on a BRT, you want to make sure that the people can get across the street safely.
Yeah.
So
and that is a pretty wide road.
Oh, it's actually right there at the corner. It's not only 6 lanes, but it's 6 lanes and 2 turn lanes. So actually no, 6 lanes and 3 turn lanes. So you're talking about 9 turns. No, that's it's like that's a 60-yard sprint. You know, so 15 seconds, go.
Push.
Yeah.
Where's my baby?
But you know, the county's always been. You see the bridge that they built near the University of Miami. If it's necessary, they've always invested, to protect people's lives, and this is another thing which is going to protect people's lives and improve their lives overall.
So Miami-Dade County, as well as many county cities across the country, has a homelessness problem. And not too long ago, I wrote a brief. The story was about 400 words about my experience at a stoplight. No different than any else. And I'm writing this out. Oh, here he comes. Are you going to ignore him? I'm talking to myself.
Right.
Are you going to look at him? Are you going to roll your window up? Are you going to give him any money? If he waves, are you going to wave back? I said, maybe I'll give him some money. What if I only have coins? Do I want my fingers to touch his? Well, why don't you...
You have a complicated thought process.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach in my pocket. Let's play a game. I'll do whatever bill it is. A 1, a 5, a 10. And I'm contemplating all these decisions. Is he really just joking out here? Can he really work, or does he really work? Is he just trying to steal money? Am I going to get hurt? And then all of a sudden, oops, the light turned green, on to my next lesson. Homelessness strikes a chord with everybody. And there's that whole range from I really want to help to stay out of my neighborhood.
Right.
Each city and throughout the county, there are unsheltered people. We know that a lot stay in place, but during the day they're out on the streets. So one of the things we know that's going to happen is these folks, besides they're now, is when the bus stations are active, they're going to be sitting in those chairs very nicely. It won't be cool, but it'll be cooler than standing on the street. How is Cutler Bay dealing with this crisis? And it's all across the country.
We've actually been very proactive about that. We recognize that with transit systems, there is sometimes a congregation of homeless people. And you don't want to paint all the homeless people with the same brush. There's different types. There's the family homelessness, who, you know, they're economically challenged and living in a car, trying to go from place to place. You have the, you know, your drug abusers that are hooked on drugs and they can't get off. You have your mentally ill people, the schizophrenics, whatever, that just can't seem to get along with people. So, and generally it's, you know, the families aren't the ones that are living in there. Generally it's either the drug users or the mentally ill that are trying to do that. So we actually had a meeting with all the leaders from the south of Dade County and said, hey, listen, you're spending $300 million on this. Are people going to be able to feel safe using this rapid transit system? What are the challenges? First step, asking them. So we went and asked all the police commanders to come and tell us, what are the challenges that you're facing? We also invited the Homeless Trust, being an advocate for the homeless, and it's like, what are the challenges of you? So it's real interesting to get their perspective, one from the police, how they're dealing with people that are, you know, either habitual criminals, drug users, or whatever, and the Homeless Trust, which is being much more empathetic and trying to get them into shelters. And we're finding a lot of the times they're not able to get people into shelters. They refuse. They don't want to go. They don't feel comfortable there. So one of the people made the comment is like, well, you know, you don't want to make homelessness illegal. I was like, no, you don't. But also, you don't want to make illegal activity acceptable because they're homeless. We need to go ahead and find a solution to this, which is going to be good for them, but not ignoring the needs of society for a safe place at the same time.
So Miami-Dade County has several organizations, including the Homeless Trust, Chapman Partnership. There's NAMI for people that are having, you know, some mental challenges. There's Be Strong that can help some people. And there's lots of organizations out there. And so part of it is, how do you get some of that help to those people if they want it?
If they want it. And again, it was more of a fact-finding mission for me and the other leaders in the South. The police know who most of these homeless people are. They know by name.
Yes.
They know how many times they've been arrested, what they do when they're arrested. The Homeless Trust people also know them very, very well.
And we know some of those organizations, but some other ones besides those, they provide food for them. They take and they give them food so they don't starve out on the streets.
Right. But there's also, we've discovered there's a little bit of a disconnect. The police may discover somebody that's, you know, they just got released from CHI. They're still in a hospital gown. You know, so now on the street and they're panhandling, and you know the police are having to deal with them, and them contacting the Homeless Trust to get there in time where they can try to get a counselor to try to help that person. Doesn't happen quickly. The homeless person will wander away. The police don't want to arrest a person.
Right.
So so there was like, all right, there's a disconnect here. We have a rapid response Homeless Trust person on board, or what are the solutions? We didn't come up with solutions yet because we're just trying to understand the scope of the issue.
And we know the county's trying different things to make it as painless for people to try to get reincorporated. But the reality is that it is a challenge for all of us. And just imagine what it might be out on the streets. I was at 103rd Street and Palmetto Express was getting off to take a left. And there was this 5-year-old and the mom and the dad on the side begging for money. My heart just said, people said, oh, it's a fake. I said, no, that was a boy laying on the ground 4 feet from my bumper.
Right.
All right? And so I just quietly gave them some money because I'm thinking, even if they weren't homeless, they're trying to get some money so they can go do whatever they need and want to do. So there is no one simple solution. It's this combination of efforts from everybody,
right,
you know, to do that.
I would say the best way is not giving people on the street money. You know, there's organizations that you can give to. You can give your time as well. You know, you give them other forms of support rather than the dollar here or on the street there. Again, there are some scammers out there. We quite honestly, Now, because of social media, you find that real quickly in an area, and they don't last very long. But the ones that you see out there day to day, they've been there for a long time,
Yep.
And they're not scammers, but they have other issues. They have drug dependency issues or mental health issues, and giving them $1 is not going to solve that problem.
Yes.
Perpetuating their condition is not humane.
Yes.
You may think it's humane, because it makes you feel good for a short period, but it's not humane. It's just letting them live on the street again, and in a situation where it's not good for them and it's not good for society as a whole. So we need to find a different way to deal with that than a quarter here and $1 there.
And there are organizations that do that, and pick the one that works for you. Write them out a check or go in and volunteer, for that. So tell us about what Cutler Bay looks like in 5 years from now.
5 years from now. So 5 years from now, we're going to have a beautiful 16.5-acre legacy park. We're going to be a jewel in Miami. I think you're going to continue to see the quality of the citizens' lives improve, because not only are you going to have a new place where you can go and enjoy the sense of community, but also the jobs that we've been traveling for an hour and a half to get to each and every day will be closer. Not all of them, but we're going to start moving towards a world where we can not only, everybody says live, work, and play. Why not say the work hasn't been here? You can live here, and you can start to play here, but you're not really working here. We need to bring all three of those together. You're going to have a $1.5 billion development, which is be well on its way. You're going to have more restaurants and shops and entertainment much closer to you, rather than having to go to Coral Gables for a nice meal. You better go, 2 miles down the road.
And the old way of living, which is work downtown and live in the suburbs.
Right. Hopefully that'll go away, because again, I don't see a solution out in West Kendall for that right now. Maybe somebody will build that, but we do see a solution in South Florida, and we're starting to see a lot of growth in the industrial section as well, looking to bring more manufacturing, like clean manufacturing too. We're not talking, chimney stacks and those type of things, building products in the South. So there's all types of different things going on with the Chamber South Day Chamber, and the Economic Development Council, looking to bring good jobs to the south end of the county.
Every 2 weeks, we have a representative from South Day Chamber come up and interview on a show like this, the different folks. And on Sunday at Fruit and Spice Park, they're having a big deal down there. You can go down and pick out some fruit trees and buy some fruit, do a little pitch for them. They were here, they cut open some mangoes. We shared this morning. It was really very good. And so there's a lot of agriculture that's very close to you, a couple miles west.
Right.
And so it's a good place for people to go. Just take a drive down there in Homestead, and not in the city, but in the Redland, if you will. And hopefully they'll continue to grow nicely out there. And we know that people are saying we either have to go up or we have to go out.
Yeah.
So and we got about 2 minutes left, do you feel that pressure from citizens and from builders who say we want more height so we don't have to go out to where those nurseries are? Or what's your take on this?
Both. You feel it from both ends. There's some people that recognize there's always like, I don't want any more growth. We can't have any more growth. But if you're not gonna, you got to finish that thought process. You don't want it, but it's coming. So do you want it up or do you want it out? I think most people I'm one of the advocates of not building out. Again, we're taking up too much of our environment. We're seeing an increase in flooding every time we have a storm because we keep building. So we have to do something different. Cutler Bay already has the designs in place for building of that type of nature to take place only in the transit corridor. And so I think we're going to be okay there as far as Cutler Bay. In the unincorporated Dade County, they also are allowing building on the transit corridor as well. That has been the push. So as you can see, there's buildings going up everywhere. That trend's going to continue for a while. When will people stop moving here? Is whenever it's not comfortable anymore, unfortunately.
And there's an old saying, even New York has Central Park.
Yeah.
If you look at that overhead picture, you go, yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Right? And there you are, right in Central Park, and yonder are all the big buildings. And so if we're lucky, we're going to be able to preserve that in each of those areas.
That's my hope.
Okay. Mayor, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Michael, thank you for having me again.
Folks, thanks for joining us. Have a great day. And Andres, thank you for the show.